It was 6:30 on a Monday morning in 1974. The house was dark. Before anyone else had even thought about opening an eye, one person was already up, your mum. Not because she wanted to be early, but because if she wasn't, nothing happened. No hot water, no breakfast, no clean uniforms, no packed lunches. The whole house ran on her, and nobody thought twice about it. What she did every day in 1970s Britain was not just cooking and cleaning. It was a full-time job that began before the sun and finished long after you went to bed. She simply got on with it, and, looking back, you wonder how she managed. Her first problem of the day was hot water. In the 1970s, hot water wasn't something you switched on at will. It had to be planned. If your house had a back boiler behind the fire, she had been managing the timing since the night before, banking up the coals so the tank would be warm by morning. If it was an immersion heater, she knew exactly when to flick that switch and how long it took. 40 minutes, maybe 50. Every bath, every wash, every rinse was scheduled around that clock, and nobody else even thought about it. Then the milkman. She heard the glass bottles clink on the doorstep and moved fast, not out of rush, but to beat the blue tits pecking through the silver foil tops to get at the cream. That was a battle every single morning. Unigate, Co-op dairies, whatever round delivered, she had the bottles inside before the birds got to them. Breakfast followed. Toast under the grill, because most homes didn't own a toaster. You watched it through the grill door, turning it by hand. Porridge in winter, made on the stove, and tea brewed in the pot. All of it ready in up an hour. There was no second car, often no first. She walked the children to school, rain or shine, sometimes pushing a pram with a toddler while holding another child's hand. Headscarf on, good coat buttoned up, no Gore-Tex, no waterproof boots, just a coat and shoes not meant for puddles. She got the children there on time, every morning, and then she walked back, because the real work was only just beginning. If it was Monday, it was wash day. Every household knew it. Monday meant the twin tub came out, and if you remember nothing else from this film, remember this. Using a twin tub was not doing a load of laundry. It was a full day's physical work. The machine, usually a Hotpoint or a Hoover or a service, had to be dragged across the kitchen floor and hooked to the taps with a rubber hose. She filled one tub with water, waited for it to heat, added the washing powder, Persil or Ariel, whatever was on offer, and the blue bag went in to keep the whites white. Then the sorting began. Whites first, always whites first, then colors, then the really dirty stuff, work clothes, children's play clothes. Often everything was washed in the same water, because heating a fresh tub every time cost too much. When the wash cycle finished, she lifted the soaking clothes out with wooden tongs and moved them by hand into the spinner, heavy and dripping. Some families still had a mangle into the mid-70s, even alongside the twin tub. Feeding sheets through those rollers took every bit of strength she had. Next came the weather check, the decision only she could make. If the sky looked dry, the washing went on the rotary line in the garden. If rain was coming, every chair, every door, fire steaming away and the whole house smelled of damp washing. That was Monday, and that was just the laundry. Every other morning followed a pattern. Cleaning, not a quick tidy but proper cleaning. Vim or Ajax powder to scour the sink and the bath. Pledge and a yellow duster for the good furniture. Windoline and old newspaper for the windows. Paper towels didn't exist in most homes, and newspaper left no streaks. Everyone knew that. In northern England, the front doorstep got donkey-stoned. If you don't know what that means, you didn't grow up in the north. If you do, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That step scrubbed and whitened because the neighbors noticed. It told the street everything anyone needed to know about how you kept your house. Remember, most of this happened in a home with one warm room. By 1970, only about 30% of British homes had central heating. It climbed through the decade, but never became the norm. Most days that meant a cold kitchen, a cold hallway and a living room with a single gas fire that she watched closely. She stuffed newspaper into the window gaps to stop drafts, put coats on the beds as extra blankets in winter, decided which rooms would get the heat and which would not, and always made sure the children were warm before she worried about herself. Mid-morning, she was out the door again. Shopping was a parade of specialist stalls. The tartan shopping trolley on wheels went everywhere with her. She walked to the butcher for the week's meat, to the greengrocer for whatever was in season, because there were no strawberries in December, to the baker for bread, a different shop for everything. The co-op, she gave her divvy number or 5-digit number recited at the till each week. Some families even wrote it on the wall by the back door in case the children forgot. If you still remember your mum's divvy number, you are not alone. Half the country still has theirs stuck in their head. There were the green shield stamps from Tesco, from petrol stations, from the grocers. She brought them home and spent evenings licking and sticking those tiny stamps into books, page after page, saving up for a kettle or a set of glasses or something the weekly budget couldn't cover. By lunchtime, she had been on her feet for 6 hours. She made herself a cup of tea, maybe a sandwich from last night's roast, or soup made from bones if it was winter, and sat down for 12 minutes, 15 if she was lucky. If the telly was on at lunchtime, it was Pebble Mill at 1 on BBC One. The programme, launched in October 1972, was broadcast live from Birmingham and became the soundtrack to 1 million kitchen tables across Britain. Easy watching, nothing heavy. That was her 12 minutes of rest before the afternoon shift began. She ran the money with a grip that would put most accountants to shame. If the house had a coin meter for the electricity, she kept a supply of 50-pence coins in a known place. She knew exactly how many coins were left, because if that meter ran out mid-evening with dinner half cooked and the telly on, nobody was happy. Christmas was planned from January. Money put away every week, a tin on the shelf, a savings club at the local shop, sometimes cash stashed with the milkman. By the time December came, she'd been quietly working on Christmas for 11 months. 4. She made the cake and pudding weeks in advance, so they never saw the work behind it. On Christmas morning, it looked like it had all just happened. It hadn't. She'd been working on it since January. And when the country threw a crisis at her, she dealt with it. During the 3-day week in early 1974, when the government cut electricity to 3 days and power cuts hit homes across the country, she found the candles. She dug out the camping stove, and tea was served on time, by candlelight if that's what it took. Inflation bit hard through the decade. The weekly shop rose in price every few weeks, especially after 1973. She didn't complain. She adjusted, swapped cuts of meat, made things stretch, added more potatoes. The family still ate. They didn't always know how tight things were, because she never let it show. Whatever was happening outside, one thing never changed. By 5:30, tea was on the table. Dad came home from work and the meal was ready. Shepherd's pie, liver and onions, toad in the hole, stew and dumplings, all from scratch, every night. And a pudding, tinned fruit with carnation milk, rice pudding, a sponge with bird's custard powder. It came out every evening because that's what she did, a 2-course meal from whatever was in the cupboard. The chip pan sat on the stove, deep fat frying in lard. She had no thermometer or safety lid. She judged the heat by dropping in a single chip and watching how it sizzled. After tea, she washed up by hand, everything, in a plastic bowl in the sink, no dishwasher. Then she wiped the sides.